My name is Sandra Schaeffer. I'm president of the Democratic Women's Club of Greater Broward. And actually, the city of Sunrise is one of the cities that's part of the area that we have our club. And I saw him at a panel a couple of days ago, or it might have been earlier this week or last week. You know, we're all stuck in the house, so we don't know what day it is anymore. So I did see him on a panel, and I was extremely impressed. And I wanted to give him an opportunity for him to speak to the people and the residents of Sunrise so he can give you an idea of what it is that he wants to do as your next city commissioner. So again, I'm Sandra Schaeffer. I have the pleasure of talking to Erncy Dumornay today. We're going to have him introduce himself, and then we're going to start talking about what he wants to do for the resident of Sunrise.
Well, thank you so much for that gracious introduction. I'm Erncy Dumornay, but most importantly, I want to thank you for opening this platform. You know, this is a very lonely and challenging road when you run for an office, but I hope my race encourages a lot of millennials to get involved in politics and run for office, especially if you feel like you have something to offer. But again, my name is Erncy Dumornay. I'm running for City of Sunrise Commissioner, Seat D, in this upcoming November election. I hope throughout this discussion and, you know, when you learn a little bit about me, I have the opportunity to earn your vote and support. And most importantly, I don't come into this process pretending that I know everything. I have a great base of knowledge, but I want to learn from my residents, my neighbors, anybody that can tell me some other issues that are going on that we can address in the community. And I'd love the opportunity to engage with you.
Okay, so the first thing I usually want to know, you tell us who you are. Tell us, why is it that you decided to run? You said it's a long and lonely road or whatever. I know you have a great family. They have your back. They have your support, but it's also tough on the family. I was, meeting a lot of people during the last year, mainly the ones that were running during the primaries, and it's brutal. It's tough. You know, it's like, what made you want to take this challenge on?
So, you're right. It is a lonely, challenging road, and I am blessed to have a great family and some awesome friends that are supporting me. Actually, the last couple of years were kind of rough for me. I lost my mother in 2017. So my wife has been a great support system. You know, I was on the wrong path, and I'll tell you, this is why mental health is extremely important. But why did I decide to run? Because I've been serving for the last 10, 11 years in our community. You know, I've always been kind of behind the scenes. And I've come to the realization that sometimes you do have to take a step and step out in front of the light, because you can make a little bit more of a greater impact. You know, serving on the Education Advisory Board, I realize the limitations that we have, you know, when you're kind of not in the forefront in those roles. And it's a great initiative. It's a great board, and we do some great work. But there are some other things that we can do to have a more significant impact. So I've had conversations with, you know, the mayor in our city as well, Mayor Ryan, and you know, he's always asked me, you know, if you really want to get involved, why don't you run? You know, what are you really going to do? And are you willing to take this chance? And are you prepared to put your family through this as well? So I really sat down and thought long and hard about it. I've seen what's going on nationally in a political environment. And then I thought about my experience at work, and, you know, I've had success. I think about what my community has done for me. I moved to the city of Sunrise flat broke, and I leveraged the resources within the community to achieve some success. And you know, you're Haitian just like I am. You know, we always looking for ways to pay it back and pay it forward. You know, you're familiar with marchandise, where, you know, that's I grew up where we're doing well, we go back and we support our country.
Absolutely.
So it's kind of been embedded in me. So I've been fortunate, I've been blessed to have a great career. And there's a point in time where, you know, monetary things become meaningless. It's what are you doing for the people around you? And what kind of impact are you making? And then I started learning a little bit more about politics, and I realized that, yes, there is a lot of empty promises, but I think that's because it's the lack of understanding of what we can really accomplish as elected officials. And I spent a lot of time understanding those things, of what we can really accomplish, how we can make an impact, and also how do we communicate effectively for our community. So the reason why I'm running is because I feel like I can really support our community. I feel like I have a unique skill set that's going to enhance our community. And also I'm an objective leader. You know, it doesn't matter what happens to me, what negative experiences we may have. I don't allow those things to impact my ability to lead. You know, I really believe in situational leadership, and I understand that not everyone is going to love me or be happy with every decision that I make or I help influence make. But the reality is I'm a leader for everyone. And when I look at our political environment, I feel like that's something that we lack. And I hope to change that. And I need your help, and I need all the residents' help as well, because, you know, we need objective leaders, because I feel like the reason why we have challenges in our communities because we have a very narrow perspective when it comes to our leaders and how they lead our community and how they support our community. My background is really wide as far as the range. You know, my socioeconomics wasn't strong before. Now they're a lot better. So I've come from I've grown through the economic scale. I've had a lot of challenges on my own. So I can understand a lot of segments of our community. I think I'm a lot more relatable, or I'm very relatable. I don't want to speak about any of the candidates because I think they're all great. But I think I'm very relatable and I can connect well with our community and also understand the issues that they have and find unique ways to address it. I also think relationships are extremely important. I think I have a unique ability to build and foster relationships that are meaningful and impactful for our community. And that's what I want to leverage to help support our community as well. So I'm really doing this to kind of to pay it forward, not kind of. I'm actually doing it to pay it forward and support my community. I'm actually going to be donating at least 25% of the salary from the commission, because I really think about supporting the local 501c3s and community building. How do we really support the community itself? This is an 18-mile community, and when you drive from east to west, it tells two different stories. You know, and what people call a hood, I grew up in, you know, so I don't want that to happen in our community. And I also don't want gentrification to happen in our community. So I want to find ways to support our community. And I think it's important to really kind of put your money where your mouth is. I've self-funded a fair amount of my campaign, and that shows where my interest lies. It's just, I really want to help. I've matched every donation that I've received and exceeded that. And I'm investing in this because I really want to help our community. And I think this is my opportunity to do it now. My experience is afforded me a great base of knowledge to learn and understand and offer our commission something unique. I'm a vice president financial consultant, and I've been doing that for the last 13, 14 years. And it's a challenging, stressful role that I think transitioned very well into the city commission. You know, and I think that experience is something that's unique that our commission doesn't have now. Financial discipline is going to be extremely important going into the future. We just finished our budgeting meeting. We have a $440 million budget, and we're going to have some revenue shortfalls, you know, coming forward because of COVID. So I think a leader like myself is going to be able to help support our community, specifically our businesses, because the most important thing they need is more customers, more clients. And we have a platform that's very unique as commissioners and elected officials that I think I can leverage and drive some attention to some of our local businesses. You know, we have one of the biggest and largest tourist attractions in the state, the second largest attraction, which is the Sawgrass Mills Mall, where we've got 30 million visitors on an annual basis. So we have to think about creative ways of attracting those visitors to supporting our local businesses. And I think that I'm one of the leaders that can help do that as well.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, long-winded.
There's a lot to unpack, and it's all important. No, and it's all good, right? I let you talk because that's one of the reasons why I do my sessions the way I do, is because, you know, on the forums they're like, you got 1 minute to talk about yourself, you got 2 minutes, and sometimes it's not enough for people to really get a feel for who it is that you are. So I try to provide a space where people, you know, you get to talk, and we also promote the videos on. We have the page has a YouTube channel, is Democratic Women's Club of Greater Broward. So what we do is after we're done with the video, we put it on our YouTube channel for everyone to see. We also clip the videos, you know, as you answer the questions. So if someone can't see the full-length video, we clip the videos and we put them on the Democratic Women's Club of Greater Broward's YouTube channel, and we make it available to YouTube. So if you decide you want to use any of it, because people, you know, we have all access to all of this information. So there's really no reason for people to, you know, when they're voting for someone, to not know about their candidates, right? And I had that experience, like, it was a long time ago. It was like in the early 2000s, I went to vote and I looked at the ballot and I didn't know some of the people on the ballot. And I was like, and I got to decide who I want to vote for. And I'm going to confess this, and I really shouldn't. I literally was like, well, that person looked like a female. That name might sound nice. And it was so crazy that I did that I was just like, I never want anyone else to have that experience anymore, right? And I was like, I'll make sure that I'm an informed voter when I go and vote. So that's one of the reasons why I do this, right? And we have all this access to information. You said some real amazing things. You said, no, it's not always about the money, because it does get to a point where you have to decide what's your legacy, what it is that you're going to leave behind. You were put on this earth, you know, we got this dash in between. That's the part that's matter. What is it that you're going to do? You know, like, what is it that you did? How are you going to be remembered? remembered. So, you know, I definitely understand that, and I'm sure the people can relate and respect that also. And particularly since we've been stuck in our houses since March, you know, most of us, you know, some people had to go out to work, and I understand that, but a lot of us have been like stuck in our house for one reason or another because we're trying to be safe. If you have not self-reflected, at least in this time, you know, again, not judging, I understand some people got to go to work, but it really did make you, even if you were working every day, you have to take a step back and see what it is that what you're doing, if you're contributing, right? So we're going to get into all of that. You want to leave this legacy. And you also made a point about sometimes people come in as politicians and you can't always do everything you want to do. So some people go in and they overcommit, right? Like they go overcommit. They bite off more than they can chew, and it seems as though that they haven't done much because they've overcommit. So it's also good to hear that you have a balance in what it is that you want to do, and you also already have some exposure, so you already have an idea of the task that you have in front of you. So for those who don't fully understand what it is that a commissioner does or what their responsibilities are, so can you at least tell them what it is? Because, you know, some people will probably come to your office and be like, help me with an immigration problem. You be like, well, I don't know if that's on the list of things that we do, right? So give us the people an idea of what it is that a commissioner does, and then, you know, we'll break down a lot of the things that you talked about in your introduction.
Okay, and I really appreciate that question, because I think it's important that folks know what commissioners do. And I have a great way of simplifying it so everyone can understand. Think about the city commission as the board of directors for the community, and the city manager is essentially the CEO. So the board of directors typically influences what that division is going to look like for the community, and what the community invest in, and what properties they buy, and our budget. They approve the budget, as well as we appoint the chief of police, and now we're voting on whether or not the fire should be charter. We also appoint the city clerk and city attorney and city manager. I'm sorry, I said city manager already. But it's a really, really large, I mean, very challenging and encompassing role that you have to learn a lot about and understand, because this is going to shape the future of a community. And you also have to remember the city manager, again, is the CEO, so is responsible for the day-to-day operations. The city is a business that offers services to the community. So it's important to have a really good relationship with the city manager, understand what that city manager's background is like and their vision for the community, because they are going to help shape the vision of the community. And the commission usually typically votes on some of the initiatives that they want to present going forward. So that's a really simple and easy way to think about what the city commission is. But city commissioners are extremely important, and that relationship with the city commissioners is important, because if we don't know what your concerns are, whether it's more traffic lights or just lights in the community or speed bumps, then we can't relay that message to the city manager so they can execute on it. So it's extremely important to have a great relationship, as well as if some things happen as far as from our services, you don't like an experience, it's important to let us know. Another misconception is, you know, the city commissioners are not a personal concierge service. You know, you don't necessarily call them and say, hey, they're going to get everything done. It doesn't work like that. You don't call a CEO from a company or a board of directors and say, hey, I had a problem with this, get it done. And that's sometimes how the lines get blurred a little bit, and sometimes false promises are made. You know, we have to understand the city's a business. There's normal protocol. If something happens, we can escalate it through leadership. Then if we realize as a commission that things aren't being taken care of, executed properly, then we lean and pressure the city manager and the rest of the infrastructure to change that as well. So it's really important to understand the dynamic of that relationship. And I know a lot of people have the false conception, preconceived notion that, you know, hey, I can call the city commissioner and get everything done. That's not how it works, you know, and I don't want to mislead anybody in that sense. You know, we are here to serve the community, but also influence what the community looks like. And yes, because we represent the community, we have that direct relationship with the city manager to make changes or influence changes in the community.
And you said something about representation. I think really representation really does matter. And one of the things you said in your introduction, which was like, and I was taking notes because I'm like, yeah, we're going to talk about that too, was that you said it's in Sunrise is 18 miles. And there's a difference between Sunrise East and Sunrise West, right? I live in one of those cities that are similar. I live in Miramar. Miramar East looks a little bit different from Miramar West. But I think I think in Sunrise, it's a little bit more extreme, right? You know, and I don't know, you may or may not agree with me, right? And all of that representation matters. So you want to have a board that has like people who understand what it's like to live on Sunrise East, you know what I mean? Like what life is like there, and that they too should have a voice, right? So, because if you have a city that has that much money, I don't understand why is it so much disparity in how one part of the city look and the other part of the city looks. Is that something that you could explain? And is that something that the city commission can do to try to, you know, make the city look more uniform, since the money literally belongs to the entire city of Sunrise? And why is it that one part of the city gets more than the other?
Yes. So, you know, you're right. This is why representation is extremely important. And I don't fault our current commission. You know, they operate with a great knowledge and understanding of the community, and they support where they can. I think what's really important is your voice is your vote is your voice, right? So if there's a segment of our community that votes, you know, politicians have a tendency to kind of address those needs, right? This is why vote is extremely important. So if folks are only concerned about speed bumps, that's kind of what they prioritize, right? Which is why I don't necessarily fault the commission in a sense. But sometimes you as a leader, you have to be a visionary, and you have to plan for 10, 15, 20 years from now, right? So also, because of my experience, I think the reality is I understand what those communities look like. I understand what happened in Wynwood. Because of the clients I work with, I understand how they acquire these properties. So I think the reality is why that happens is because sometimes the commissioners have a different experience and a different background that's unique to them, and it doesn't make them any bad or anything like that at all, and may not necessarily have a vision for that side of the community because maybe they haven't participated, you know, or don't understand really how to enhance that, or don't have a great connection with them. And again, none of these things are negative. It's just sometimes it's just a lack of understanding.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's what it is, right? It's not a judgment. It's just what it is, right? And sometimes in order for you to be an option, people have to know you exist, right? So like the fact that the person, you say, well, you know, well, they're the commissioner, they should know what's happening on the other side of town and all that, you know, sometimes that's not the case, right? You know, because we should know don't mean we know, right? And then the other thing is, like you said, if I was talking to another person, it's like, yeah, the squeaky door gets the oil. So if the people are sitting in a situation and they're not even complaining about it, right? And so, you know, the others might be like, they might think it's okay, right? Because who are we to judge how someone's living? So it could be some of that. And then also it could be knowledge. And so there's a whole bunch of reasons. And that's why I think representation matters. So you do need to have someone to say, listen, it's not that they're okay living this way. They just don't know that there's something that they can do about it, right? And so I'm here to tell you, or to inform them, that this is what they can do, this is what they need to do, and this is how they should go about doing it, right?
Exactly. And that's where I think I'm going to help in our community. You know, our commission has done a good job because we have a project that we're working on in the master plan, which is the Celebrate Original Sunrise. You know, we are looking at infrastructure improvements and adding a cultural arts center as well, and we're enhancing City Park. But I think we can also take a step further, spending time in that community against how do we support those businesses? Why do we have a business where the wood fascia is showing? Because that hurts the property values. You know, we need to restore pride in home ownership. And then even some of the properties, and this is why I started an initiative with a nonprofit organization, some of the properties that aren't enhanced and may have violations, we have to offer them resources. Maybe they can't afford to enhance those properties, and we shouldn't just send them violations. So one of the initiatives that I've talked to the city manager about is, why not leverage a local nonprofit, or a 501c3, why not leverage a local 501c3 to use them for labor to help enhance those properties? But also taking it a step further, because this is about community building. Why not leverage our high school, like Piper High School, and leverage those students, because they need community service hours. And they also need to have a great relationship with our municipality. Because I remember when I was younger, I didn't have a relationship with my municipality. And the only reason why I started to learn a bit more is because my mother worked for HUD. So eventually I started to learn a little bit more about the resources that are available. So we have to get creative in how we enhance the relationship with the community and get them more engaged and involved, but also offering resources to enhance the pride in home ownership. You know, so if someone can't afford to take care of the property, here, we have a resource to help you out. And then imagine what that's going to look and feel like, that the city helped you out with this. And now you walk outside, your landscaping is taken care of, the property's painted, but also it was from a young man or woman or a student in our community that did that. Now they take pride in the community, they love the community, okay? And they want to come back and reinvest into our community. So this is something that's extremely important for community building, and I think we have to consider.
Yeah, it's absolutely. And I was talking to another commissioner. We were talking about like, yeah, they sent them a violation. I'm like, half the time, those people probably don't even know where to go get this fixed, right? So you're sending some notice and like, listen, if you don't cut your grass or do this or whatever, you're gonna get charged like $100 a day, whatever. I don't know what the violations are, right? But and they really don't know. So I'm like, okay, if you're gonna send them a violation, send them a resource guide too, with some options and some possibilities of how they can get it done. Like you said, if there's a nonprofit that's available to do it, that, or even just get a list of vendors or business owners in the community that provide that service and send it to them, right? Because I live in an association, and they apparently my sidewalk was lifted and I was supposed to get it shaved down. And I'm like, who do you call to shave down the sidewalk, right? And I'm a person that has a little bit of sense. And it was challenging for me to figure out who to call to shave down the sidewalk, because like, do I shave it down or do I have to have them replace it or whatever? So I would have appreciated if they had, sent me like some sort of guide or resource. And so I finally called them. I said, listen, I can't even figure out who I'm supposed to call to do this. And when I called the association, they said, oh yeah, we have this person, this person. I'm like, well, why did you, you probably should have sent it to me when you sent me this letter about me getting my sidewalk shaved down, because I didn't know. So again, a lot of the association, they had that information. I think it would make sense if they would provide it. You sending me a letter and an email anyway, you could throw another list in there too. Like, I don't know what the cost of that is, but I think that would be something that would be helpful. And again, I think I have the ability to find a lot of things out. The home might be owned by an older person, you know what I mean? Or a foreign national who have like a language barrier. It's a myriad of reasons why. And I think you're right that the city should be more supportive. It would definitely make people are more invested in there. And if you get the students engaged, it also give them a sense of pride, because they could like, I was the one that cut that grass, or I was the person that painted that house. They also can have a sense of pride, and you can keep them busy too, right? Because there's not much happening on these streets. That's usually a good thing, right? So there's a lot of benefits in that whole thing. So you also talk about you had a wide range of experience. So what experiences do you have that will make you the best suited person for this commission CD?
Ooh, it's a lot. So if
It's
you
a
ready
lot,
for this?
but it's a lot. Some of them was like, well, does experience really matter? I can learn how to do it when I get there, right? So I want to know if you already know what you're doing. So you're ready day one.
Yeah, you want me to start when I was 16? Or when I was 13? I was watching Windows 11.
But this is your opportunity to explain what it is that makes you ready to do the job right away.
Okay, so
and you're getting some great comments on Facebook, mind you. They're saying like, you've always been engaged. You're a good part of the community. You're in the youth development and empowerment. So they're saying some real good things about you on Facebook.
Thank you so much. I really do appreciate it. And again, I still need your help because I don't know everything. I have a good base of knowledge, but I need to grow that knowledge. So the experiences that I have that I think are helpful, the reason why I said I'm relatable, I've worked in customer service. My first job was at Burger King. That's why I still prefer Burger King over McDonald's. I'm sorry. That's what it is. They gave me my
where that Burger King is, you had to develop some serious customer service, right? Because you're like, I can't get the customers. I just got to figure out how we can de-escalate and make this thing work out, right?
Yeah. So, that's actually where I got my first management opportunity. So I was actually still in high school. I was 16 years old. Football season was over. I didn't know what I was going to do with myself because I had lost a scholarship opportunity. So I started working at Burger King. And within a couple of months, I became team lead and a manager there. And, that's my first experience dealing with a challenging situation and managing different personalities. And even when they have conflict together, you having to be the mediator, so that was a unique experience. And from there, I actually worked at Toyota Hollywood. I sold cars and got into their finance department I think I was 19 years old at the time. And simultaneously, I had started my own business as a marketing and ad agency and started doing nightclub promotions. So by the time I was 21 years old, I was doing fairly well from the income perspective, simultaneously while going to college as well. And I decided I never wanted to rent. I had a unique dialogue with my mother. She's like, I know you're making a lot of money, but you still live here at home with me. And I was like, dang, you're right, Mom. And she also said, what are you doing for your family? I'm like, dang, you're right. Mm-hmm. So I learned about the resources available. I found a first-time home buyers program, and I bought my first home at 21 years old in the city of Sunrise. I got here. My business failed, and I think failures are important because it's how we learn from them, right? And how do we grow
Learn from
from them?
your mistakes. You learn more, I think, from your mistakes than your successes oftentimes. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think for me, too much success early on wasn't good for me at that age because I was young. So I was making a fair amount of money, but it was using it on the wrong things and the shallow things because, they call it getting hood rich, right? Because I'm young. I finally got my own money. I don't have to ask my mom for anything. I'm buying all these clothes. Then I realized that it wasn't the right thing to do. And I started to look for ways to start building wealth, saving money on my own. And again, home ownership was one of the most important things. When I bought that home, I looked, I was like, wow, this is a lot. And this is mine. I bought a home before my mother did. And it was a phenomenal experience. But then the bills came in.
It's funny because let me tell you. So when I bought my house, I was like, I could afford the mortgage, and I didn't realize how much the maintenance was. I was like, wait, so I got to pay the lawn guy, the pool guy, the this guy, the that guy, the that. I was like, wait, they didn't tell me about this part. So the maintenance ended up being like that's a whole nother budget right there, right?
Yeah, it was a lot. And then, like I said, because I screwed up with the business. So I again, looking at my city, what services do they offer? How do they help me? I don't want to go on welfare or anything like that, and nothing's wrong with that. But I was just like, I got to figure this out quickly. So I joined the Sunrise Chamber of Commerce, which was a phenomenal experience. And I'll tell you a little tidbit. One of my biggest fears was public speaking, and going to the chamber really helped me with that and understanding how to engage with professionals. And not only that, I developed relationships with city leadership, some of the commission and the mayor, now the standing mayor as well. And I've also met the chief of police at the time. And so it was a great experience to get engaged in the community. And I eventually became an ambassador on the Chamber of Commerce. The chief of police gave me an opportunity to teach financial literacy courses. And I taught financial literacy in our roll calls all the way from here to down to Florida City. So, they gave me a great opportunity. And at the time I was working hard. I left here at 5 o'clock in the morning and didn't get home until like 9 o'clock at night. So the only time my daughter would see me is literally for a kiss good morning and a kiss good night. But those experiences built character because I needed to build my career. I had a lot to learn. And again, I was appreciative of the opportunities that I was provided. But it was also a very humbling experience because you had early success and then it just changed, and now you have a lot of responsibility. So it was a good experience and a life-defining moment, and I appreciate it. It's also having a kid young. I couldn't stop, so I had to work hard. And fortunately, from that experience and learning and engaging with our law enforcement community and doing financial literacy courses there, I was provided a great opportunity to transition to the company I'm with now, which is Charles Schwab. And I'm eternally grateful to them because I became a vice president financial consultant there, where I learned a lot more. I had a great responsibility as far as the assets that I oversee, and it's a very large practice. But I learned how to deal with a lot of different personality types, how to influence them the right way, how to communicate with them in a more effective manner, as well as planning for their future, not just for themselves, their kids, their legacy. So, and also going through the 2001 stock market environment, 2008, it was a stressful period of time, but it also taught, it taught me how to deal with that stress and that pressure and overcome that adversity and how to communicate that to my clients and have them understand that it's going to be okay as long as you plan. So when you look at the role for the city, it's very similar in the sense that there's a lot of planning that goes on, but there's also a lot of adversity and challenges because everyone's situation is rather unique. And I have to be an objective leader and be able to support everyone in our community and have to plan around some of those needs and find the most effective manner to address their needs. So I think a lot of those experiences are helpful. Not only that, because of this role, I've been taught to over-prepare. So I kind of study and read everything. I mean, like a lot. You have no clue, a lot. I mean, the first 3 months, the reason why no one saw me is because I literally read through every single page of our budget to understand what expenditures we had, what capital improvement projects we were working on, and what the vision of our community was going to look like. That was in our last budget. Is it consistent with our next budget? I had to learn about our CBAs for police, fire, and our general employees, just because that is also.
You can't drop the initials without telling the people what they mean. I think it's collective bargaining agreement, but I don't want to assume anything, right?
Okay. Yes, it is. So I spent a lot of time understanding that. And as I did that, it gave me the confidence to say, hey, now I can actually speak about these things in a more intellectual manner and how to actually affect change and how do we impact things in our community. also understanding the job. It's easy to say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. So I engaged with a lot of other commissioners in neighboring cities and mayors, and I wanted the real truth. What can you do? How can you do it? And how do you do it? And I've had some great feedback, and everyone always told me, people, not everyone's going to be happy with every decision that you make, but try to make a decision that's going to support the masses or help the masses, and not just a narrow space in our community, and we'll be successful. So I've learned that as well. And again, so I think my experiences and professional background is something that's going to uniquely enhance our community. But I think my leadership skills is something that's the most important, because I can be an objective leader. And that's something that's been lost in politics, because it's usually always about friendships and false promises. Objectivity is what's been lost. Being in a professional environment, we have to be objective, no matter what our personal feelings are, our personal preferences are. So I think that's something unique to bring to the Diaz as well, is because I can be objective. And I'm not saying that our commissioners don't do that, but I'd like to see it more often, because in national politics, and again, that's something that we hear about, is that, it's sometimes all about their personal preferences or what they want to do. Is just all politics. I think we can, it's 2020. We can raise the standards when it comes to politics now. And I think we should. We're all great people, and we all work hard. And it's time to step our game up a little bit.
Absolutely. And you said a couple of things that, when you were saying that you were doing financial planning and you understand what happened in 2001 and 2008, I'm one of those people that lost money twice. And I know, like, when I called the guy, I was like, yo, what happened to my money though? But I gave you all this money, and now you sending me something in the mail that says that it wasn't that there was none left. It was just significantly less than what I gave them in the beginning. Right. And, we can't understand it. I'm like, so at least if I had a store and I had some inventory, I could understand where my money was. Right. I gave it to you, and so to be able to explain that to someone, particularly in such an emotional situation, that really does take a good skill set. Because I was like, dude, like, you really got to explain this the way where this makes sense to me, right? So I definitely, and again, I really am enjoying the conversation that I'm having with you. And for people who've had that experience, they know that, yes, you definitely have to have an understanding. And I have to tell you, to be able to go from working at Burger King, depending on the neighborhood it was in, and I don't need you to tell me where it was. I'm just saying, like, if you could deal with the customers that come to certain Burger Kings, and then now you're dealing with people who have like money, and you got to explain to them where their money go. Some of it is the same skill set. Some of it is very different. You can't handle that same situation the same way, because now you got to still convince this person to give you more money after you just lost their money. Not that you lost it, but the market lost it. But the people, at the end of the day, it's going to be on you, because they're like, well, you told me to put it in this, whatever it was, right? So definitely, I have to say that definitely does take certainly a person who's knowledgeable and a certain skill set to be able to manage that, to stay firm, manage that emotion, and also convince the person to trust you again with the money that they felt that you just lost, even though that's not what you did, right?
Yeah, and look, I appreciate this as well. I just got nominated for the 50 under 50 African American advisors, and that's a testament to the hard work, because you're right. There's been a lot of challenging situations. Look what just happened in March and April, when the market was extremely volatile. But this is why planning is extremely important, and really understanding your audience and how to effectively support them. Even though there's a lot of this adversity and challenges, we can't always just jump at the new shiny car or be reactive. So helping them manage their emotions and understanding this is a long-term plan. It's the same thing for our community and our city. We want a lot of improvements and changes. It's very easy to say that we can do this right now. But the reality is we have to look at the long-term vision and planning, and what our expenditures are going to be, and what investments are we making now in the community, and how do we make those investments in the future.
Absolutely. And even like you said, you have to go years in advance, because, we're told as regular folks to make sure you have 6 months of savings in case there's an emergency. We're past 6 months right now. So even if you were that person that followed that rule and you had savings for like 6 months, this is gone past 6 months. We don't know the end date, right? Because I think there are a lot of poor decisions that are being made that's making this worse than it needs to be. But that's another thing. But but I'm saying, like, even so, you do have to think way beyond that. So now that 6 month rule, we've had a situation right now that shows you that that's not enough anymore. You definitely have to do some different types of things. You said a couple things. You said that one of the things commissioners do is that you guys are you have some say so in who the chief of police is, right? So that means that you have your own police department and you don't have a contract with BSO. Is that correct? Yes, is that something that the cities consider changing, or that's they want to or do you not know about that?
I'm going to give you my personal opinion. I don't think we should change it. You know, you think about community building. You know, how do we build trust with a law enforcement community unless they're here in-house? They should be here in-house, because if they're officers that are with us for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, you want them to be members of the community. You want them to be viewed as guardians of the communities and of the community, and not warriors. So if we know Officer Ben, like my daughter does, you know, he's been at Sawgrass Elementary for years. He's the SRO there. You know, when he sees her 10 years later and how big she is, you know, that's awesome, you know, and that's a real relationship. And I think, you know, you don't want to get straight too far away from that. And I like the fact that we have our departments here.
So is it a requirement for you to, if you're an officer in the city of Sunrise, you have to also live in Sunrise?
No, it is not a requirement.
Okay then. All right. I was just wanted to make sure. So what is it that you want to do for the city of Sunrise, right? I know you said y'all have some infrastructure things that are going on. Is there something that you personally would want to see happen in Sunrise that as a commissioner?
So we have 12 schools here, right? And we're limited in the things that we can do from a school perspective. This is why I serve on the Education Advisory Board. So, you know, a lot of it's dealing with county funding, but my engagement with some of our schools and our educators, my wife also worked at South Plantation High School, is sometimes we need more parental involvement. And then you look at other competitors that have more success than our public options, right? And they always say it's parental involvement. And then I look at our community and I look at the socioeconomics, our demographics as well. And you think about, well, why can't we do the same thing, right, and provide the same type of resources outside of just the school system, right? We have, right now, I think we have about 11 programs that we offer in the community. We can find more civic engagement opportunities for our parents, because some folks, you know, may not necessarily be able to make it to a PTA meeting or a meeting with the teacher throughout the normal sequence of a day, right? So we need to find ways to get them engaged and get them involved. And I think leveraging the city resources, we already put together a program which is Back to School Roundup, where we give away books, supplies. Why not creating something else where we have, like with the Scholar Network, which is a network that I'm supporting and I'm very happy with. You know, they offer tutoring and online support and assistance, but we have to be creative in how we get our parents engaged and involved. And we also have to be flexible, because everyone's socioeconomic situation may be a little different. And we have to take pride in our schools. We have to celebrate them. And I'll give the city of Sunrise a lot of credit for that, because we're doing that. You know, when we talk about some of the high academic achievers, every year we have the Outstanding Citizenship Award, which I'd like to see us give more scholarships. We give 2 scholarships away a year. But I think where there's a really good opportunity is getting the parents involved in a platform that is more comfortable and unique to them, okay? But also enhancing the relationship with the schools and that partnership as well, and providing resources. Right now, we're in a virtual environment. We thought about the fact that not everyone may have access to internet, may not even have a laptop, okay? Why not have facilities to support that within the community? And we're starting to do that, but how about expanding that as well? But also just providing more resources, whether it's whether school supplies, books. If a teacher can't get in touch with a parent, you know, maybe offering a virtual option for a teacher meeting now. We can do it. Look what's going on now, you know, right. I think that's phenomenal. But it takes a village to raise kids, right? So enhancing the relationship with just the youth and getting them involved with the municipality, it would be phenomenal. I talked about having mentorships with our commission, our city leaders. That's extremely important, because now what if that parent does work overnight, but she knows Jack is willing to take her son to the city for this event or help him out? That's unique as well, but we have to take the lead and initiative in doing those things. But I think the mentorship is extremely important. I've had a mentor since I was 16 years old. And why was that important? Because I could have gone a completely different path. He talked to me about pride in home ownership, building wealth, taking care of myself, always making sure I'm dressed appropriately, I shave, just the little things, you know. And that was important for me because I love my father, but we didn't have that strong relationship when we were younger. So I had to learn how to shave on my own, a lot of these things, you know. So having that mentor and that guide there is extremely important. And we want to see that from leaders in our own community. What about business leaders in our community? What about the entrepreneurs in our community? If they were able to mentor our youth, again, that's more community building, and it also helps those businesses. They might have future employment opportunities for those young individuals, and also teaching them a little bit about business and how to develop their own business, because not everyone's going to take the one path of going to college. Maybe folks want to take a trade or start their own business. You know, in this country, you can see that you can do that now. So it's important to provide those resources and opportunities for folks to get involved. I'm sorry, I know that was a lot.
No,
To
no,
give
no,
you
it's a lot. And I told you I'm taking notes because there's a lot of things we're going to talk about. So you said a couple of things that are extremely interesting about trying to get parent involvement. So I grew up with Haitian parents, right? Like they just kind of expected you to do well in school. Some of them, they didn't know how to double check. Now, they got Pinnacle and all of this kind of stuff. And some parents know how to do it. But, we have, they had the Haitian parents that I had. They weren't very educated. They're not going to be able to navigate a computer. They're not going to do that. They're just going to trust that, this kid is doing what they're supposed to do in school. So I think it is important to get some of those, to get those parents engaged in a way that they understand on their level. You understand what I mean? And it's one of those things where, one of the things that they're doing, even when they're trying to decide about whether or not these kids are going back to school or not, and I don't know if Broward County School Board is doing this, you can't send out an email and get Haitian parents to respond to that, right? But what you can do is go on the Haitian radio and make some sort of announcement and tell them how they can, who they can contact. That will be something, again, I don't know if they did that, but I know, like, even when my dad passed away in 2014, we made an announcement on the Haitian radio station, right? And I found out I had some cousins and aunties that lived in North Miami that I never met, right? But that's the way, so people think you can make a phone call, but that's not necessarily how all information is communicated in that particular community. And I have clients that live in Sunrise. So, for my clients, if you want to get in touch with them, there has to be a different way. Sending them an email you're not getting them. So you're not getting their feedback on what's happening, right? So I think it's an awesome idea to find a way to engage those parents in a way that they engage with each other, right? And then you talked about mentors. Mentors are extremely important. Long time ago, right, before I was an attorney, I used to work for Big Brothers Big Sisters, and I matched some of the students, the kids that I have, I matched them with mentors. And if I tell you that those relationships still exist, you know what I mean? Like, they're still involved in each other's life. So, like, that's a shout out to that program. They do great things, so if you're a person of color and you want to be a mentor, get involved with that organization. Because that was also one of the issues that we had. Like, it was, there were some students you couldn't match because there weren't enough mentors. But I can say that from the students that are still in contact with me, and a lot of them are, it was an amazing experience for them, and they continue to have a relationship with those mentors, even though they're adults right now, right? So that's a big thing. And with the mentor and some of the other things you're talking about, like teaching people about businesses and all of these things, and learning how to shave and how to dress. A lot of people think that they can start worrying about their professional relationship when they become a professional. No, you need to start building your professional relationship right now, because the things that you do as a middle schooler, a high schooler, all of that can affect your life, right? So a lot
Sorry,
of kids don't know that. Huh?
Sorry, that was my puppy.
Okay, it's okay. So yeah, so no, so a lot of the kids need to know that, and someone needs to tell them that, right? Because they just, they watching the videos and the TikTok and all this other stuff, and they're not getting that. The things you do now can have effect on your future, and you need to be like real careful with that. So we talked about, policing. You guys put the police chief. You want to keep City of Sunrise Police Department. We talked about some of the developmental plans that you're going on. Is Sunrise one of those cities that have like a crime rate problem?
No, I wouldn't. Well, look, so there are some members of our community that have had some bad experiences, and I think we do a good job of communicating and try to understand what those issues are and address them. So I can't always say that we're perfect, but I think that we are an evolving city that's doing very, very well. We don't have a huge crime rate issue, but think about it, because this is a good community, folks come here to vandalize and do things bad to our community, right? So we always have to make sure we stay ahead of that. But I think we're doing a relatively good job, and our response rate is pretty good, and our officers have a great relationship with our community. So, look, there's always going to be a situation that, may not be positive. It's how we address it, and are we transparent through that process. I'll give our chief of police a lot of credit, because he actually sits down with every officer that they employ and wants to gauge their ability to deal with multiple personalities, and wants to see what type of individual they are before you kind of just put them in the front lines. So I think that's very unique, and that's kind of important, especially because that's the leader. You want to know everyone that you're putting on the road, and make sure that they have the ability and emotional competence to deal with the community and engage with them and treat everyone with respect.
Absolutely. And so so South Florida, I grew up in Miami. The transportation there sucks, right? This is before like Uber and Lyft, so it's transportation a little bit better. What's the transportation like in Sunrise? I actually had an office on Sunrise Boulevard, and I don't know if that bus is like a 36, but there's a bus that goes from one end to the other. And I had a client say, "Oh, I have to go now because the bus is coming in like 12 minutes." How's the transportation in Sunrise, and is there something that you guys can do to improve that?
So we can't necessarily improve that because that's not our funding, but what we can improve is for our seniors, because we do have transportation for them. And there have been concerns about the fact that they show up to a specific location and don't go door to door, and they may need assistance getting in and out of the vehicle. So I think we can create more routes and more and identify more resources to allocate for more transportation opportunities for them. Because if we're talking about community building, we have to support our seniors. You want people to live, play, work, and grow up here and retire here as well. So we have to provide more resources as far as transportation for our seniors. We have a great senior center now as well, but I think providing more resources for there as well. We're trying to invest in our bus station, our bus stops, and enhance them and make them look a little nicer. We've actually tried to collaborate and find some resources for that. So that's going to be pretty cool. But the bus routes, I can't necessarily influence that as much. Your census does that, and funding for that comes from the census as well. And I think that's a little challenging. Again, I don't want to make it false.
What's the percentage of people that in Sunrise that have completed it already, and tell them why they got to do it?
69.2%.
You guys are doing good, because I spoke to people from Lauderhill and Lauderdale Lakes, and they're in the 50s. So that's actually not too bad.
Well, we have a pretty engaged community.
You need to do better, but that's actually pretty good compared to those two cities.
Well, we have a pretty engaged community, a younger community. The average age range is anywhere from 37 to 45. So, it's a younger community, and I think a lot of folks are active here. So I think they're aware of what's going on, and this environment with COVID has forced us to do what? Sit behind computer screens. So information is being tossed at us. So I think they finally realized we have to do it. We have to do it. I don't want to get another email or see another pop up on my Facebook that says complete the census.
Okay, well, tell the people to complete the census, because all that money matters. So we do that little census pitch for me right quick. Do a census pitch.
I know that most folks are nervous or concerned that information is going to be shared. That information is protected, but it's extremely important to securing funding for our community. Please complete the census, and please, it's extremely important. We need that head count, and it'll help us secure a lot more funding for our communities and a lot more services within the community as well. So if you like our schools, you want better transportation, it's important to complete the census. And remember, your information is protected. I've done it, and I think most of my neighbors have completed it as well. It's pretty easy. It won't take longer than maybe 15 minutes. Please complete the census. And I know the biggest concern, and this is why I keep harping on it, is people are afraid that information is going to be shared. It is not, and it's protected. That's a big misconception.
All right, thank you. So the environment, that's another thing that people are worried about. Are there any environmental initiatives that are happening in cities of Sunrise? Because, the young kids are worried about the ozone layer, the place is getting too hot. Is there going to be, a place for them to live when they grow up? So is Sunrise doing anything about them? Do they have any environmental initiatives?
So our commission is doing a phenomenal job, and I say they are in tune with that. We great recycling program here in the city of Sunrise. And not only that, we can leverage our partners. Like, we have a large partner here with this Publix, where you can bring your plastic bags back and they will recycle them as well. So they've done a lot with regards to that. We have a concern with regards to our algae, and naturally, because we're in the Sawgrass and Everglades area, so we are looking ways to make sure that we are environmentally safe, sound, and friendly as well. So I will give them a lot of credit, because this is something that they have focused on. But the most important thing is I love the open-mindedness. I listen to the commission meetings. No one comes in with a preconceived notion or agenda. They're listening to all of the presenters and open to ideas. And that's important. So I would encourage members of our community to keep sharing ideas and let us know what other communities are doing and how they're dealing with their waste and what could we do to improve as well.
All right. And I know some people have concern about water. So I'm not sure if the city of Sunrise is one of the ones that have a sewer system, septic, or whatever. People have been complaining that, there's some issue with the sewer cities, and then the ones that have the tanks or whatever, they're afraid that they're old and they might break. I know that happens in Fort Lauderdale every now and then. They got a boil water advisory. How is Sunrise dealing with that part of it, making sure people have clean water to drink in their houses and all that?
That's a very important subject matter, because a lot of the things that you hear from residents in our community is, they don't like the fact that our utility expenses are pretty high, because before you turn on the water, your bill could be anywhere from $85 to $90. But I'll explain why it is that way. It's because the maintenance and upkeep that we put into these systems, and we did have an increase years back, but that rate increase is going to be stabilized in a sense that other communities are going to surpass us. And this is because we've already invested into our water waste system and our utility system, and we're enhancing those systems as well. So I think we're doing a phenomenal job with that. And I think we've got to give our commission credit, because it was painful in the beginning. Like I said, some decisions are not going to make everyone happy. But when you look at other communities that have an issue where their water mains have break or exploded, we don't want necessarily that to be the city of Sunrise. So I'm excited that they've done that. Now we have to look for ways to continue to stabilize that and not let them increase. So I think we're doing a good job with our water system and our water waste and usage. So I think we're doing a great job here at Sunrise.
Do you know if the residents of Sunrise are happy with the property tax rate that they're paying? Someone was talking about village rate. Like, are they mad? Because I had one day, she was like, listen, I can't even afford the house I'm in because the tax rates are so high. So how do residents of the city of Sunrise feel about that? And can you at least educate them so if they are unhappy, they're okay with it?
Let me know anybody that's happy with the bill. No one's happy with the bill. But I'll give, again, our commission some credit here, is because we've been able to stabilize our millage rate. I think we're at 6.053 now. Naturally, nobody wants it to be that there. We want to lower it. But I think in a time like this, it's hard to look for ways to lower it when we're going to have, some economic shortfalls, going forward. So I haven't had a big concern about our tax rates. It's been more about our utility expenditures. But there's more ways to increase the capacity to either stabilize those costs or potentially reduce them. So right now we serve about 70 miles. So we serve some neighboring communities as well. So looking at how can we increase that capacity and draw in more revenue for those services, that's a potential. And more franchise fees. So the more revenue that the city generates, I think creates opportunities to, potentially either stabilize the rates, lower the rates, or even have an impact on our millage rate. So we have to be creative in that sense.
Oh, so you said City of Sunrise helps out other cities, because first you said City of Sunrise is 18 miles. Now you said you guys are taking care of about 70. So what other cities are involved in that, if you know?
We have some parts of Davie, some in Weston. We have, I believe Tamarack is in there as well. And it's right off of 84. I think it's like unincorporated. So there's about 70 miles that we service, and whether it's water, wastewater, whether it's sewage, you name it. So we do a lot within the city of Sunrise. But that's something unique for us. That's something that most communities can't offer.
Right.
If we can offer those services, we have to continue to invest and make sure that we enhance that and find ways that we can increase that capacity, maybe not to serve just 70 miles, maybe 100 miles, okay? Because that's part of our brand. That's something very unique here, and I'm very proud of. And I'm also very proud of our community and all of our employees and staff, because they've done a phenomenal job. My water always works, and it's clean and it tastes good. So
you can drink it straight from the tap. You don't have to pay for bottled water.
Exactly.
That's also a good thing. So people if they want to help support your campaign, and that's awesome that you said that you match all of your donations, because you believe in yourself and you're investing in yourself. And when people see that, they want to invest in you too, because you're betting on yourself and you're putting your money in, on in your campaign too. So if people want to donate, if they want to volunteer and help you become, the next city commissioner for CD in Sunrise, Florida, how can they get in touch with you in order for them to do that?
So they can visit my website at www.dumornay.org. Dumornay is spelled D like David, U-M-O-R, N as in Nancy, A-Y.org. You could either click the tab to volunteer or donate. And I do need donations, because there are a lot of other unique, creative things that we'd like to do, because we're in a unique environment when it comes to campaigning. So I do need support. I do need volunteers, and I do appreciate your contributions. And again, I will match those contributions, and I'm investing in my campaign. So I would really appreciate the support.
And so you're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, those things too?
Everything. I've got the best campaign manager in the country. That's my wife. She is phenomenal with the digital outreach. So our social media, we have Facebook, that's probably one of the largest platforms where we get a lot of engagement. You can just search me at Erncy Dumornay. We have Twitter as well, and we have Instagram. So we use all the social media platforms, and we share a lot of the information. The most you'll find the most information, I guess, on Facebook. You know, more real time information. The other platforms, there's not as much engagement, and I think a lot of younger folks use that still. I can't believe I just said younger folks.
Instagram, yeah, right.
Yeah.
You made that 50 under 50. I'm not gonna ask you your age or anything like that. So,
well, I'm still a millennial, okay, but yeah, look, I got this LeBron thing going on. That's from all working hard, you know. So I guess they thought I was a little older.
Gray hair is earned. You probably should have made the 40 under 40 list instead of.
I know, right? Way to put me in a box.
I'm just saying, it's all good stuff though. At least it's a good list. You know, you know, it's for your great work, and people can see that and they appreciate what it is that you're doing. The other thing that I should ask, and your wife is on it because she just posted right on Facebook, the website. Say, listen, y'all, bring them coins and sign up to volunteer for this campaign. Because I think we're about like 45 days out for November 3rd. But what I want to say is that don't wait until November 3rd to vote, because we have early voting. And I believe early voting may start like around October 24th or something like that, or maybe even the 16th, I'm not sure. But, you know, there's a 2-week early voting period. And we want you to vote early. And then if you want to vote by mail, because I think you can request those ballots now. If you're going to vote by mail, we want you to do that early too, and send it out so you can track it. Because the last thing we want you to do is wait like a few days before, and then your stuff doesn't get in and it doesn't count, because you want your vote to count. So if you're gonna vote by mail, do it early so you have more than enough time to track your ballot to make sure that it was counted. We want people to really participate in the early voting, so you don't have to deal with the long line on November 3rd. You can social distance, you can vote safely, and then you don't have to go to your precinct, right? You can go to any one of the places that's convenient. So we want people to vote early. And November 3rd is actually the last day that you can vote for Erncy Dumornay for City of Sunrise Commission seat D. The last thing I wanted to ask is that you talk about is that, you know, people say like, yeah, when they were running for office, they were in my face all the time, stopping by, doing this, asking questions. How do you plan on continuing to engage with the resident of Sunrise when you take that seat?
That's something pretty unique and about me and my family is we're active participants in the community. I'm an investor. I own 2 properties here. My kids participate in the sports here and also the schools here. So I'm always out. You know, I think a lot of people have seen me on an electric skateboard. I ride a skateboard around the community. I find it a very good way to see what's going on and what neighbors are the neighborhood watch. And, you know, it's pretty cool. So I spend a lot of time in the community. I've always been accessible. So I think I'm going to continue to do those things. This is just the title. The title doesn't change me. I've always been the same person. I'm always going to continue to be the same person. So you're always going to see me around. I don't need to hide from anyone. You know, my address is clearly public. But I think the reality is I think being on the commission just puts more pressure on me to do more within the community. So, you know, if I'm coaching, I think that might be a little challenging because now I can't scream across the field. But other than that, but I'll still be around. I think it encourages me to participate a bit more. But I've always been accessible, and I will continue to be accessible. And you'll always see me. I mean, I work out here in Sunrise. I play here. I mean, I do everything here in the city of Sunrise. You know, so.
Right. And is your office in Sunrise too?
No, unfortunately, it's not. I tried to get them to do it because we moved, we relocated, but we are in Plantation, which is a good city as well. But I tried to get them to
It's one of the neighboring cities, so it's not that far.
No, not. And that's another thing. Look how close I am in proximity. I live here, own 2 properties here. I've had a business here. My wife is going to start her business here as well. And we're here. I mean, I bought my forever home. So I intend on being here for a long time and being accessible. And, you know, I use our parks to train kids. And so, I mean, you can see me if you want to. I'll be here. I'm always at Flamingo Park. When they open back up again, you'll probably see me with a baseball cap, screaming and telling some kids to run, do some squats, jump. So I'm here. You know, you'll always see me. But the most important thing.
What sports are you training in? What sport?
So I used to play football, so I have a little bit of a weak spot when it comes to football, because you look at the young men that play football, and sometimes they come from, you know, some bad socioeconomic situations, may not have 2 parents in the household. So I think it's important to engage with them and be mentors. You know, one of my most exciting experiences was, you know, I was a coach. We won the state championship and Super Bowl. That wasn't the most exciting. but I got 9 kids a scholarship opportunity for Cardinal Gibbons High School. That was the best experience I've ever had, because it's something that's going to be life-changing for them and very impactful, going forward. I'm excited to say that I have 5 kids playing Division I football right now, and it's been a great impact in their lives. And seeing them coming from unique situations to progressing in life and understanding that it's important to have good relationships with the community around you, to be a strong contributing member to society, and understanding that sports is an opportunity sports to further potentially your career or your life, or advance your life. The sports are not the only thing that's going to make you successful. It creates a stage and a platform for you. So that's been really exciting for me. And so not only do I do that, my daughter plays travel soccer, which started here in the city of Sunrise, and shout out to the Sunrise Sting and Sunrise Prime and our rec program here. So I help her out with athletic training, and I help the girls out as well when they want to come out with training, because a lot of things are really important, is avoiding soft tissue injuries. Women's bodies develop a little differently. When the hips widen a little bit, it makes them more susceptible to ACL injuries. So I think proper form running is extremely important. So I help them a lot with proper form running, speed and agility, and also just being the best athlete they can be. If you're going to participate in a sport, give it everything you got and be the best athlete you can be. So I do that a fair amount. What else? The mentoring here. I'm doing a lot.
Yep, you're doing a lot, and you're doing it for the city of Sunrise. That's awesome. So do your closing statement. I'm not gonna put no time limit on it. Do your closing statement and tell the people why they should vote for you, and tell them how they can contribute. And then, again, it was a pleasure, an absolute pleasure talking to you today.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate the opportunity. So City of Sunrise, I am asking for your vote because I promise and I will become an objective leader and help our community. I'm here to listen to all of you and serve all of you. I will not come into this role with any preconceived notion to pretend that I know everything. This is about all of us in our community. I'm open to ideas and listening, but I can give you confidence in my background and my knowledge base that I will be able to do the job effectively. I spent months understanding our budget, what the city infrastructure looks like, where we can improve. But I also need your help to understand what else we can do in our community. And it's important that you get involved in local politics, and I need your help to potentially become the next city commissioner. This is very important to me, my family, to helping support our community. My kids are going to grow up here. I have 3 kids. So I want to see this community thrive and be successful. I'm invested in, I'm a stakeholder, just like all of you are. So I'm asking you to give me your support, because I will be here for you and I will listen to you and I will try my best to do a good job. But I need your help. So on November 3rd, and before that, November 3rd is procrastinators. So before that, I'd like the opportunity to earn your vote. Please engage with me, whether it's on Facebook or social media. I don't care if you call me, that's fine. You can give me a call, you can text me, you can send me an email, share ideas, but also please give me the opportunity to earn your vote, because I would appreciate that. You can visit my website at www.dumornay.org. We have some volunteer opportunities that are coming up, so we do need volunteers. And any donations are appreciated, because we want to do some really unique and creative things for early voting and beyond. So I really appreciate this, and I appreciate this opportunity and having the chance to speak to all of my potential voters. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Have a good one.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.